So for the 36 entrepreneurs that we have published in Flagler County, we can tell you in real time how many views their profiles are getting. I'll just continue with Andre Smith because I've been using him as the example. But in the last 7 days, his profile's been viewed 11 times. His website was clicked 3 times. His LinkedIn was clicked once. And we do have his Facebook link, but it wasn't clicked any times. So again, that goes back to what I said a minute ago about people coming in, reading about Andre, and then taking the next step of going forward, maybe to his website or to his LinkedIn. I won't go through all of them individually, but again, this is available in real time. So just like for the entrepreneurs, we repeat the same analytics or capture the same analytics for the resource agencies that are here in Flagler County. Some of these are going to be local, some are regional, and some are statewide. So I'll draw your attention down to the Flagler County Department of Economic Opportunity. In the last 7 days, the listing has been viewed 39 times, and it looks like there were 2 website clicks from that. I mentioned the news that we're promoting for the area, so this will quickly show us all the news articles that we have thus far, and will also tell us the number of times those news articles have been viewed for the time period that we're looking at. And then finally, we show you a graphical chart of the last year of visitors to the Flagler County page, so you can get a little bit of a trend line and see what's happening over time. One item that I skipped over up at the top is you can enter your email to receive a report showing you companies that have looked at Flagler County. So this is obviously very valuable to have some intelligence on companies that are looking at the area. So we subscribe to a data program that uses IP addresses and matches them against a database to tell us if a company has looked at your community. So I downloaded this report just before we got started here to show you that in the last 7 days, these companies or organizations have accessed some content through FLVEC for Flagler County. You get their name, you get how they found the content for Flagler County, where they're located, telephone, email, employee size, industry, and then what they specifically looked at through FLVEC.
Is that information because they supplied it or research was done on them?
These companies performed some online research and found FLVEC-related content, and that's why they're showing up here.
I understand that, but how did this information, this data stream, how did it populate this website, meaning their revenue, their employees?
Yes, gotcha. So the subscription service that we subscribe to provides a database and then uses the IP address and matches the two. So if they see that, for example, JP Morgan Chase IP address came on to FLVEC, the database will ping us back the corresponding information that you see here. So we don't provide it, it's provided by a third party. So we've got this report available. The last item I do want to show you because it just speaks to the power of what we're able to do with an online platform for entrepreneurs. I'm sure all of you use Google. It's the way most of us search these days. So most people don't even go to Facebook.com. You go to Google and you put your search in, right? So I Google searched Andre Smith High-Tech Solutions, and I want to draw your attention to the more than 20 million results that came back for that search result. Our FLVEC profile for Andre coming up at the first search result. And that's powerful. That gives these local companies an opportunity to gain more visibility for themselves. Studies have shown if you're not on the first page of Google, you're losing huge opportunity. More than 75% of users don't go past the first page. So if you're not there, you need to be there. My one ask of this group would be tell your local businesses that this resource is available to them completely free. The department is one of our sponsors, has been a longtime sponsor. We love Flagler County. We love working with Helga and Katrina and all of you, and we want to see more businesses participate and get the exposure that they've earned, that they deserve, and showcase the diversity of Flagler County. I think it's important that When people ask me, what do you define as an entrepreneur? I tell them it could be a one-person operation running a restaurant. It could be a several hundred employee manufacturer. It could be a multinational corporation with thousands of employees. The entire spectrum is important to every community, and we got to tell that story. So with that all being said, I'll stop there, field any questions if you have them, and just again want to thank all of you for your time, attention, the invitation, and Helga and Katrina for the great support of the program.
How's your primary funding? Where does your primary funding come from?
Great question. So FLVEC is a program of the Florida High Tech Corridor Council. And that organization is state-funded through 3 universities, UCF, USF, and UF. They have 4 core areas that they focus on. One bucket is entrepreneurship. That's where our program comes into place. So we receive some funding from the Florida High Tech Corridor for this program, and then for every dollar they put in, it's matched by a local dollar, some coming from Flagler County and 35 other cities and counties around the state of Florida. On the home page.
Is that voluntary, Helga? Okay.
So these groups here, and then all of these groups here sponsor the website at anywhere from $2,500 per year up to about $10,000 per year.
So, Michael, isn't there like 69 counties in
67.
67, yeah.
Yep.
So why would there be 30-some that are not on this?
Great question. Some are not ready for this type of program. Some are more rural communities and are more focused on building out infrastructure. Others have their own website type version. Some just we haven't been able to form an official relationship with. So we have talked with just about every city and county in the state of Florida. Many are interested in what we're doing. We just haven't gotten to the point where they've said yes.
But isn't this more focused on the high-tech corridor, the I-4 corridor?
We do have the 23 counties of the high-tech corridor on the program, but this is a unique program in that it is statewide. So we have a portal for all 67 counties, just like I showed you for Flagler County. The difference is, without a sponsor, we do not interview companies from counties with no sponsor. So because of Helga's support, the companies that are coming in from Flagler County, we're not asking for any financial support from those companies to be on the website. Your support is enabling the tool and enabling the profiles to be published there. We do not take in profiles from areas where we don't have sponsors.
I was interested in how you compile all this information, although I think I'm starting to get a picture of it. I think you've probably reached critical mass in certain areas where now it's ongoing. But apparently, I guess you're still trying to recruit the other counties.
Oh,
and then once they get on board, what is it? Then departments like Helga's are feeding you leads and contacts, or are you doing a lot of data mining to find out who's out there that's not on here?
Combination of all of those things. We do receive leads from our partners. We do our own research using public directories that are available out there. We run social media ads. Folks hand me business cards or pass business cards along. So we're taking in as many sources as we can get. And that's why one of my asks is to talk about this when you're out in the community and tell folks that this is something we're doing to help you be more successful. And I promise you they'll write you and tell you, thank you for letting me know about FLVEC, because we have just a plethora of testimonials from the entrepreneurs telling us, I didn't know this was there, but when I found out, it really opened my eyes to what was available to support me. A lot of times businesses don't reach out until the challenge is right in their face. And part of what we need to do as practitioners in the field is make sure they know what's there to support them before that challenge is in their face. So they're prepared and they're not having to make a rushed decision to figure out how to keep the doors open. As someone who is an entrepreneur and grew up in an entrepreneurial family, we didn't know all these resources were out here. And still there's many people who don't. We've moved the needle. More people know now than ever before, but still not everybody.
How does your organization define entrepreneur? I mean, is there somebody in business you would say, no, you're not?
No, we're open. That's what's beautiful about FLVEC is we're open to anybody and everybody. If you are headquartered in Flagler County and you're a one-person operation, you can be on FLVEC.
Okay, so you just defined it then, a one-person operation.
Well, it can be one. We have companies with one person all the way up to 5,000 on FLVEC, representing every industry that's in the NAICS code database.
And it doesn't matter how long you've been in business?
Nope. Nope. Some companies brand new, others been in business for 30, 40 years are on the program. Site-wide, we have over 800 profiles of CEOs of Florida-based companies. Anybody else? Thank you again.
Michael. All right, thanks. Okay, next up on the agenda, I'm going to deviate just a second here and want to thank Helga and her team for support on this. You know, back a few weeks ago, the commission approved an incentive package for Project Discovery, and there was some discussion in the community about the pros and cons of that incentive package. And I know, Jim, you wrote an op-ed or a response, I guess, to an editorial in the News Journal, and they published that, and I think that was very helpful in getting our message out and showed a lot of support and teamwork to the department's efforts. So Helga and her team want to thank you for that, and we want to thank you for that. So have a little framed copy of that article. And just want to present that to you.
Great. And it's one again.
Okay, all right.
The reason I wrote the letter was I just thought that what I was responding to the original editorial was a little bit snarky. I mean, it was like going out of its way to find ways to knock down what was being done, and I just thought, you know, go without a little challenge. But thank you.
Well, we all appreciate you doing that, and that stuff does make a difference. So, okay. Well, thanks. Next up, we have our executive director report. So, Helga, it's
Great, thank you.
On you.
Yeah, Jim, we really do want to thank you for that because, you know we have the majority of people supporting our efforts in the county, but what happens is those who are in support tend to be quiet, and those that are looking for attention tend to be more vocal. So thank you. I have a couple of things to go over today, actually. First, I want to introduce you to our newest employee. Daniel, if you can get up. I've asked Daniel Pendergrass. Today's his second day, so we're putting him right in the fire, and just asked if he would go up and say a few words, introduce himself to you. We're excited that he's part of our team. What's happened is Christina, who you all met a couple months ago when she started with us, was doing a great job for us. We were really happy with her. She did such a great job that she was offered a full-time position in purchasing and left us with another void, which gave us an opportunity to bring in Daniel. So let me let him say a few words.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Pendergrass, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Florida with a bachelor's degree in economics. And I'm just very excited to begin working here and learning from the Department of Economic Opportunity. So thank you for having me.
where'd you go to high school, Daniel?
I went to Spruce Creek High School.
Okay, so you're local from the area.
Yes, from Daytona. I lived here for about 13 years.
Okay. All right.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Gators.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
As I said, we're excited to have him on board, and his background particularly will be very helpful for us as we go forward. Just an administrative thing real quick. The Daytona State College is applying for funding to the DEO for a nursing program that they'd like to put in place, and we all know that there is a shortage of nursing in the area. So they've asked for us to provide a letter of support in that application, and with the board's permission, we'll do so. Is that okay? All right. Another note, we've been recently working with Commissioner Mullins on his Mission Fiber Flagler West grant application with the USDA. We just had a meeting on that the other day and would be looking for anybody who's interested in seeing fiber and towers go on the west side so that they have connectivity. The dollars that are available are being looked at. First grant, I think, is possible is $3 million. Then there are other grants for $25 million.
Helga, would this involve, I mean, right now the fiber goes down US 1, correct?
Yes.
So we'd be talking about basically going west from there?
Yes.
Which it does not do now?
Yes, the dollars are specifically only available to rural communities, so it would be from that point going west, yes.
And does that actually involve going down the laterals, going down the streets, or what's the kind of vision on it?
Well, right now it's still in its infancy where it's being looked at, but the consultant that was on the line with us yesterday said that what they suggest is, since the county has towers that are throughout the area for cell service and for emergency operations, that you could run fiber to the tower, and then from the tower you could go with like a Wi-Fi kind of based. It's not my area of expertise, I have to be honest with you. But the consultant and the USDA representative seem to be very much on the same page with that direction. So
Wouldn't a carrier have to pick that up? They would have to pick up
it
the
would require a
fiber,
carrier, yes.
transmit it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to private sector for sure.
Yeah.
What about benefits to the ag industry?
Well, that's the reason for trying to do it. You know, besides the residents in the area, the complaints that have been being heard nationwide is that the rural community doesn't have the same advantage when it comes to connectivity. And agricultural entities as well are using technology now to measure soils and water, and you need to have that ability to connect so that they can modernize. And Graylon, you may know more about this than I do, but the idea is to make it so that they have that available to them. The
But
problem is, because of the low density, it's not cost effective to run fiber the entire land.
Yeah, the
Just for
last
the-
mile problems.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
No,
Barbara.
I was just going to say, just for the farms to be able to research and order supplies, like
Yes.
the things that we enjoy doing, they don't have the capability to. I mean, when Wanda Clegg was on this body, she couldn't half the time get information through email sent to her because she had no way
Yep.
to upload it.
It was very frustrating on both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have to use DirecTV satellite internet service out there, which is sketchy at best. So.
Right. So these dollars have been made available to try to kind of level the playing field, because the urban areas tend to get a lot of attention, and Commissioner Mullins has put together a stakeholder group to try to get this going. So
Is the ag industry represented in that group?
yes, actually Wanda's cousin Marvin
No,
Clegg,
no, David.
David is part of it. So they're trying to get full representation, and I spoke to Graylon this morning, and he's agreed to be part of that group.
I'd love to help. It's important for those guys to have access. Where I'm from in Tennessee, we had a huge initiative to have everyone connected to fiber, and they actually ran lines to every home in the county, and they did it with a co-op. Half of the money came from private sector and half came from public, and it worked really well. And we saw a lot of businesses start up in those rural communities because they had access to the internet, fast, reliable access. So I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, starting up is one thing, but even just being able to keep up with technology and with the changes. So federal government has recognized that there's a void there, and we're going to try to take advantage of that and find some funds to move it forward. So And then I've asked Graylon if he would report back to us on that on a regular basis.
You just get volunteered for something?
He did.
Voluntold.
Voluntold.
The thing is, we want you to stay informed and be part of the process, and he expressed such interest. It just was a beautiful fit to take advantage of. So, okay. On another note, CareerSource is doing a program now called Alliance 4, and the purpose of this program is to bring together private industry and public sector to talk about workforce, jobs, needs, things that we can do to move things forward. And they have focused on specific targeted industries. Most of you, I think all of you actually received the last invitation for how they're doing this. And it's going to be a regular program. They're going to meet, I think, bi-monthly. Thus far, Joe Marotti and Greg have both attended that. And I spoke to Greg this morning. He's actually going to the next event in September and has offered after that to keep the board apprised of what happened at that and future events. So he's going to be our primary connection with that effort as well. Okay, and Mr. Marotti is also attending the September event. So what they do is they will not let them sit at the same table. It's kind of like when you start school, the teachers separate you, right? They're going to be moved into different tables so that we'll get two different perspectives, whether it's manufacturing and high tech or tourism, and see what's going on. So it'll keep us informed so that we know how to better respond to the market and to the changes in the market. Okay, Project Columbus, as you all know, that's, or Project Discovery has the two names. That's moving forward. They are finishing up their due diligence on the property, and we should have him in shortly for a presentation to the board so that we have the news.
Was there difficulties with utilities?
There are some utility issues that were being addressed, yes, yeah. But we believe we've got them under control. Project Alice, as you all know, is the medical facility project that we've been working on, and that should be able to be announced shortly as well. So that's moving in a very positive direction, which will mean quite a few jobs of decent wage. And wanted to inform you that Butlick Pharmaceutical, a company that we previously recruited and brought to the area, has just added a new product to their line, so they'll be doing a little expansion down there. It's actually it's a system that allows you to put a coating on a pill. So there are a lot of pills out there that are larger and they don't have that smooth coating on it, so it's difficult for our seniors and for kids to digest it. This is actually a flavored coating that you could put on the pill that you could purchase at the drugstores, and it coats it so that it's easy to glide down. So we're just excited that they're moving forward on a new line. We have a chamber presentation coming up, I think it's next week, with myself, the TDC, and the county administrator, Mr. Cameron. And, you know, I should say that on Project Columbus, it's because of Mr. Cameron that we've been able to move that forward the extent that we have. He's really taken a hands-on approach and has helped us with that. And then there's one last thing I wanted to show the board. This is a program that I'm so proud of. We were talking about the recruitment missions that I do, and when we try to present to companies coming into the area to let them know everything that's going on in our community, and there's a ton going on in this community that people don't know about. And sometimes when we explain it, we forget because, you know, there's so many different areas. So I was talking about this at one of our staff meetings, and Lily Tuggleware from our department took it as an opportunity to create a, I don't know, you wouldn't call it a software, but a solution for us. It's on your screen. There is software out there that allows you to use, actually, Lily, do you want to explain it? It's probably easier if she explains it, and then I'll explain, while she's getting up, I'll tell you why it's so important. When I go out to talk to different companies, it allows me to zoom in on specific properties so that I can talk about them. So let her do an initial explanation.
Okay, this is the map itself. They can see on their screens, correct? All of our current active properties, whether they be office space, industrial, land that's private or county-owned, active projects, residential, both and commercial, are all inputted into this database, which allows, if Helga's doing a presentation, someone's interested only potentially in industrial space, she can then change the map so it only shows things that are currently listed as active or in process industrial space. For example, we've got the airport, we've got the Sea Ray facility, we've got U.S. Commerce, Commercial Park. She can then enter a closer up view of each property. It has all the details, the personal address for directions, so if people want to visit the property. It then also has all property specs that we currently have available for each property, and if there is a video that we have on the property, that will also be made available to each person.
Did you build this yourself, Lily, or are you getting information from the realtors?
I'm building this off of all spec that Katrina pulls for me.
So it really ends up being a joint effort again. I mean, we do keep a database of properties that the realtors have provided to us, and you know who's got the listing and so on, and we keep track of new residential developments that are going on. And Katrina takes that information, she puts sheets together for us, and then Lily takes those sheets and she incorporates them into this program. We're going to kick off doing presentations to the realtor group to let them know that this is available.
So they don't know yet.
They haven't, this is brand new. This hasn't
Right.
hit the streets yet, and we're so
Yeah.
excited about it.
Because years ago, and Barbara should probably remember this, we had, before you came, we had, not fights, but we had, we had
Disagreements?
Yeah, with realtors because they felt like the Department of, the economic development folks were highlighting some properties over others. So the fact that you inform everybody about this, if they're not on there, it's on them and not on us.
And you know, it's funny you should say that because you're not unique in that. Every community has that same kind of issue when you have an economic development entity. And the way that we addressed it from the start was reaching out to the realtors and asking them to provide us their listings specifically. For example, when I have a call come in for properties, we'll send an e-blast out to the realtors who have registered with us, asking them if they have a listing that meets this criteria. The only thing that we ask is that they only provide their own listings because we don't want to step on any of the other realtors' toes by hitting the wrong one. And our hope in doing that was that it would give them that much more incentive to go out and get additional listings so that we learn about properties because we can't go door to door asking about properties. It's not part of what we do, but we do want to help facilitate. So our thought was we could help the private sector in promoting their product and bring the private sector in by using the other private sectors. And it just creates a nice triangle. Yeah.
So what ends up happening is, in today's world, we have a tendency to be very tunnel vision because there's so much coming at us all the time, and realtors are no different. So when they get a new commercial listing, they don't always remember to send it to us. So I go to the Flagler Property Appraiser site and pull up the MLS, the overlay, and I look for properties that are applicable. Then I go to Zoom Prospector, and I pull up properties that are applicable. Then we actually have property owners that are not listing their properties with anybody. They're selling them themselves. Whenever I come across them, I ask them, is it okay if I go ahead and put it on our database and promote it through the department? And they always say, is there any commission involved? And I say no, and they say yes. So this is a living document, and it's not 100% populated with all of the properties that are out there right now. We're still building this. So that's where I get these properties from.
How do you update it when there's a sale?
Yes, if I'm aware of the sale, then it'll come down. It'll become inactive.
And that's why it's so important that the realtors are engaged in this, because they need to keep us up to date on it, because like you're saying, there's no way we'd be able to track otherwise. But what this does, and it will be publicly available. We're going to have it on our site so that people can access it. But what it does is it also shows the residential. It's so often that we go out to talk to companies and they want to know about our density, what's our growth looking like, and everything else. And I can pull up any one of the residential developments that are going on, and whatever data is available on them is listed on the side. It talks about the number of units. It provides any information. So it's stuff that I wouldn't normally have at my fingertips, because our focus is on so many different things. So it's great. And then we've been working, what prompted this actually to start with was we've been working with the city of Bunnell on the 1 to 100 program, which is the road by the Wendy's connecting 100 to Route 1 and building that road in there and trying to get grant dollars. And we've actually, with Alvin, been working, Alvin Jackson, the administrator, been working on putting together an entire vision for that road so that we can promote the vision to the potential grantors that are out there. And so I went to meet with the Department of Economic Opportunity, and they brought in all of their other partners that provide funding. So we were able to do a presentation to them that showed the area and showed a little video on what we're trying to do, as well as the maps associated with the project, including what uses we saw could be used in the area. They were so impressed with this program. I can't tell you, it was just insane. They're so on board with what we're doing as a result. They're going to help us connect with different areas for funds that we wouldn't otherwise be able to see or otherwise know about. So it's just a great program that I think we've only touched on it as far as its usefulness. And it's one of those things that none of us really thought about until Lily left the room and went back to her computer and just started inputting data and showed up a week later saying, hey, look what I did. So
Oh, the one thing on the Commerce Boulevard site, you had one of your screens that you had up a minute
On the
ago. You
Commerce?
showed the possibilities of the individual
parcels, yeah.
parcels
Hold
that
on.
could be there. When you see that, stop right there.
Mhm.
You see the green areas, and then you see the gray areas.
Mhm.
That's all wet.
Yeah.
And so, you being an engineer by trade, know that there's going to be some difficulties along that roadway in getting it through, and as well as those sites having to be relegated to high ground.
So if you look at the map that we have here, this shows the actual right-of-way that was put in place for the road, and it runs primarily through uplands. There are a couple areas that would require mitigation. And then the development, the parcels to the left and the right, this isn't, I can't scroll, but the parcels to the left and the right are the upland areas, and those parcels were laid out so that they're large enough to be able to develop. That's not to say they wouldn't still require fill and
Yeah.
site work, but it's Florida,
Right.
right? So I think the key, though, was to show that that the property is there, the road would provide additional access, and the city of Bunnell, we're actually going to be doing a presentation to their commission or their council as soon as possible to talk about what the long-term vision is, because Alvin has been working on possibly changing zoning so that the area closest to Route 1 could be workforce entry-level housing, and then we could have business manufacturing on the interior. We've talked to CareerSource about providing special grant dollars for workforce training and different kinds of programs for the workforce. We've talked to the schools about providing training in that as well. It's also the area where the county is looking to build the library eventually, and that library would have a technology center in it that could be used for employee training. So we're actually calling it an employment district. that could provide additional benefits aside from just providing the manufacturing or retail and commercial. So it's a cool project. It hasn't been as developed as it can be yet. We're still in the infancy stage. Does this video show the new video? Let me show you the video that was put in place for this. How do I make it full screen? Why it's showing up as a part screen. Pretty cool video. What we did was we took some of our existing footage that we had from other videos that we've prepared and incorporated this site into it. It's not fully completed yet, but it's we're kind of showing you in its draft stages. Here we go. It wouldn't be normal if we didn't have technical difficulties, so.
The road's designed, correct?
The road is fully designed. From what I understand, permits and everything are in place. The DOT is currently looking to value engineer it for us because the estimate came in at $6 million? $8 million for the full road, which is high for us to kick off with. So what they're doing is they're phasing it for us, and they're looking to see if there's ways that they could save dollars. And as soon as we have that data, we'll be able to take it to the next level with the grant applications. Yeah, go ahead. Is there volume? No volume? Okay. So this will give you an idea. And the graphic artist that we're using on this is actually going to take it to that next tier. And once we get a little more development in as far as conceptual site plans, they'll add people walking and make it much more pedestrian friendly so you can view things.
The
You can
only
see-
thing you're missing right now is a really cool soundtrack.
Yeah. Or some text being read. So you can see that it zooms you in on the area, shows you what's going on around it, shows you, the areas that are considered upland, what size buildings can be constructed on it.
Where are the high rises?
Yeah, we have to talk to him about that. It's only supposed to be 4-story, but it's over on Route 1. So, and then it goes into, pieces of our other video just to kind of show conceptually what can be constructed. So that's okay. So we're very excited about this on all fronts. One, the fact that Lily took the initiative and put it together for us, and then we were able to incorporate the projects that we're currently working on into this, and it just takes us to a whole new level as far as presentation. What we can do with the stuff on the side is we can talk about statistics, demographics, costs of property, cost of development, impact fees, incentives. Any of that can be put on the side so that when we're doing a presentation, it can be customized to that industry. Any thoughts, recommendations, questions? That's my report.
Okay,
Going to end on a high note.
that's awesome. Thanks. All right, any council comments?
I just have one, Helga. When you guys are doing responses to companies that talk about housing, I know maybe you get a report from the realtors as far as current available, days on market available houses. But in the group that I'm working with regarding the gardens, we were curious about how many units there are available still to be built in the county that are already vested or have some form of development rights. And I've put a document together on it that I had the city of Bunnell's response and I have the city of Palm Coast, but I haven't been able to get anything from the county as to PUDs they've approved, DRIs, or large plain subdivisions that are all housing related. And right now, there's over 30,000 units already in that pipeline for new housing in the county without approving anything else. And that's without, when I say in the county, I'm talking about all municipalities in the city. That's without Flagler County giving me their numbers. I haven't gotten any response from them on my request. So I'm sure that those subdivisions would take it up even higher, to be fairly amazing how much approved residential development there is ready to come out of the ground. If you read the annual report that the city of Palm Coast produces, they keep track of all the, I believe they're the historic ITT developed lots and how many are still vacant. And their report for 2018 still had 15,500 lots available in the city. So it's pretty impressive numbers.
Yeah.
If a company needed to know that.
Those are all single-family lots, the ITT lots?
No, they're in that number of housing units. There were some multifamily.
They were.
Yeah, but it's not a lot when you compare it. You know, like maybe out of those 30-plus thousand, there might be 800 or something like that. So I'll send that over
That would
to
be great.
you, but it's still not complete without
We
the
can
county's
check with the
numbers.
county.
Okay. And I had the city of Palm Coast look at it and make corrections for me if I had misjudged their report.
Okay.
Anything else from the council? All right, if not, I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing no one approach the podium, I'll close public comment. Our next meeting, I guess, is scheduled for September the 17th, and if nothing else, I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, we don't want to.